this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Lowe's knows Sundays are for football, so tackle your home improvement projects by Saturday and earn your Sunday with great deals on LG and Bosch appliances, select Bounty and Swiffer cleaning products, and more. Then once your to-do list is done, get ready to kick back, relax, and enjoy the game. Shop in store or online now and earn your Sunday with help from Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
March is here and Uber Eats is delivering deals all month long. Score big savings on all the delicious food you need to fuel your sports fandom. Whether you're ordering in or hosting the whole crew, Uber Eats is serving up deals on wings, burgers, pizza, all from your favorite restaurants, plus snacks from top stores. Perennial powerhouse, underdog, however the madness unfolds, these deals keep it going all month long. Visit the Uber Eats app for all the latest deals and start saving today.
This is the Late Round Podcast with your host, JJ Zacharisa.
What's up, everyone? It's JJ Zacharisa, in this episode 1090 of the Late Round Fantasy Football Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. You guys hear my takes on prospects all the time this time of year, whether it's on the podcast or in the prospect guide, which, by the way, that's available right now over on lateround.com. Get on that. So to change things up a bit, not only do I have late round perspectives as part of the rotation these days, but I've always brought on guests this time of year for specific positional shows. And that's where we're at in the calendar right now. Today, we're talking quarterbacks. We've got running backs next week and then wide receivers the week after. But to help me with the quarterback discussion, I brought on my friend Alfredo Brown. Alfredo's the owner of Pretend GM Fantasy Football, and he's got the Pretend GM Rookie Draft Guide out right now. He brings a unique perspective to the fantasy football space with his scouting background, and he brought the heat in this interview. We talked about the quarterback class as a whole, and we discussed some surprising high upside picks that you may want to make in your rookie drafts this year. So without further ado, here's my chat with Alfredo Brown. Alfredo, you've got a prospect guide, man. Look at you. Out on your own, doing your own thing. You have a prospect guide. Talk about that guide before we get into everything, because I think this is a way for you to explain to folks sort of what your process is like, what you do, what your background is, because I've said this many times before, and you've been on the show plenty of times before, but I think your background is a lot more unique compared to a lot of other fantasy football analysts out there.
Yeah, man. I mean, just letting anybody make a guide nowadays. So I figured, sure, why not? I'll just do one too. But yeah, I mean, it started the Pretend GM Fantasy Football Show, and we've got the PretendGM.com website. Now that comes with the Pretend GM Rookie Draft Guide. I actually got my start back in college working for the FIU football team. And I got to do that as an intern, and then got to be working in the scouting department. And like, it's one of those things I always like keep as the feather in my cap. Like, I was the guy that wrote the scouting report for Jonnu Smith. Like, his career is because of me, you know? And like, it's one of those cool things I can always look back at. But when I wanted to make a guide, like I wanted to do something that's a little bit different and do a little bit of more of like what I talk about in writing for movies or shows is just show, don't tell, right? Like anyone can just do rankings and be like, hey, this is the best quarterback, this is the best running back. But like, let's show why. And so I wanted to get a little bit more into that process. So a lot of what I do in here is kind of define what the scouting terms are, why they matter, what matters most when I'm scouting these players, like what goes into that. It's not just this guy's good, trust me, bro. Yeah. Like I get a little bit more into that analysis, and you know, I'll even give specific examples. It's like why I will give the edge to one player over another. And a lot of what gets lost in draft season too is like there's a lot of people that love the NFL draft, and there's a lot of people who work on the football, not fantasy side of things, but football side of things. And they'll say like, this player is great for the NFL, right? But that doesn't make that player good for fantasy. And so it's like, what separates that? And so I wanted to do that with a guide, and I've got some consensus rankings in there from myself and some other companies in the industry like Draft Sharks and Fantasy Pros. I've got injury reports that are going to be in there from Dr. Vignesh Doraiswamy. Like he wrote up a whole thing on Jordan Tyson because everyone keeps calling him this injury prone player. And then I love player comps. I wanted to do something a little different. Instead of just like, here's one player comp, I wanted to do a sort of like low, median, high player comp that like works for fantasy. So here's a mix of their athletic profile and size, some metrics that stand out, what I see on film, and who that most correlates to from a fantasy production standpoint. So like, I want to just put a lot of cool things in there, man. And I've been having a great time making this. I'm handcrafting. It's artisanally, organically crafted. There's every single page of this by me. And there's going to be 5 different versions of it. Version 3 comes out on Monday. I'm not sure when this episode is coming out, but pre-order price for now is $9.99. It's going to be on pretendgm.com/guide. And it's always going to be on my Twitter as well, Alfredo A. Brown. So yeah, got version 3 of the guide coming out.
Yeah, I think that what you mentioned about sort of the goal of the prospecting is important because, again, we're inundated with all these mock drafts and all these draft analysts right now on social media. Especially if you're listening to the show right now, you're a diehard, right? So you are probably immersing yourself in a lot of that type of content. And the people that you're reading are often going to be actual real NFL draft analysts, not draft analysts who are looking at this with the lens of fantasy football. And there is a difference, like I think and this is a quarterback show, but I'll just throw this out there and you can definitely chime in, but like, I think Carnell Tate is awesome, but I think that there's a difference between, and I think Mekhi Lemon is awesome. I think they're both great, but I would argue that even if Tate might look better in consensus, or if he goes earlier in the draft, there might be like Mekhi Lemon is the high volume kind of player that we love in fantasy football, right? Like that. This is the easy just example and go-to for me. While Carnell Tate might be a better in real football type of player, he's still going to be good in fantasy, I think. Don't get me wrong. But for the ceiling outcome, I mean, the guy even in college didn't reach a 22% target share in a season, and it's not to say that that's impossible to happen in the NFL. It's just to say that there are different missions and objectives in what we're doing here. And Tate does look better right now in the model than Mekhi Lemon does, but it's that nuance of understanding, okay, this might work better from a real life football perspective. And that's why you're hearing him get drafted and go where he's going. And, we could argue that quarterback is probably the biggest disparity and difference there because we know that mobility is so important at the position in fantasy, but that's not as nearly important as just being a good quarterback and a good passer to real actual NFL teams, right? So I'm sure that's been a hard problem for me with modeling quarterback, and why I don't have a quarterback model right now is because it's just really hard to kind of like meet that, analytically and figure that all out.
That's been one of the things that for myself too has been very hard, even when you're scouting, because you're trying to see how these things translate to fantasy. And one of the easiest things to sort of like rest my hat on is, does this guy have tools? And that worked for me last year with Tyler Shuck, where it's like, yeah, everyone's making the jokes that he's like 37 years old and he's had 14 injuries, but like, dude had tools. He had the size, he had the arm strength, he had mobility, he had all these things that kind of worked. And like, that's sort of what I keep resting my hat on, is like going back to, does this player have tools? And like, one of the big things I'll talk about today is like, can they work outside of structure when everything goes bad?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about this quarterback class. I think the consensus right now would say this is a weak class. I don't think that this is like Kenny Pickett QB1 week. But it's definitely a weaker class overall. Would you agree with that assessment? And how do you think this stacks up to recent memory? Like, is this the worst class since that class?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's better than last year's class with like Cam Moore, Dart, Shuck. It's funny you mentioned the Pickett class. It's like that's the class I sort of bring up here, is I think we probably get one, maybe two quarterbacks that become starters out of this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing with like the Pickett class was that it ended up being Brock Purdy, the 7th rounder, and Malik Willis, who it took so many years for it to happen. Yeah. Like, it was not any of the guys that got drafted super early and got starting jobs early. The way I set up my QB tiers here is I sort of have like the dynasty cornerstone players, anyone that gets a 90 or above in my 100-point grade scale here. There's no one there. And then I have Fernando Mendoza in the starter tier, which is 80 to 89, and he's just barely there at an 82. So I think we're probably looking at like two guys that become starters. There's potential for a third, and I think that's all going to depend on where they land, which I know is kind of the easy way out, but it's not a great quarterback class.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're feeling more confident than that for other classes, so that's pretty telling that it's just not a strong class in general. You mentioned Mendoza, as the consensus QB1 in this class at this point. You have him at QB1 as well, but talk about him as a player. Like, what does he do well? Where does he need to work and do some more work on? And it sounds like he's going to go 101. So like, do you anticipate him fitting well enough into that situation in Vegas too.
I mean, first, I think he's kind of the poster child for what has changed with quarterback in college football over the years. It's like the game has just been built around make easy throws, do a lot of like quick throws, one read throws, RPO based stuff. Like we're not going to have you read a full field. And that's a lot of the things that sort of bother me when it comes to Mendoza. He does a lot of things great. Like he's already got the size you want from a quarterback. He's way bigger than I expected. 6'4", 236. He did not look like that on film.
Yeah.
He probably gained weight for the combine, but he's deadly accurate on throws to the outside the numbers, comebacks, out routes, back shoulder throws, like really a lot of back shoulder throws. And he's just a strong rhythm passer. The thing is, like when that rhythm is not there, that's when I get worried. I want to see him get past his first read more often. Can he do the things where he hits throws over the middle of the field? I think he's going to the perfect situation for that with Clint Kubiak and everything he got to do with Sam Darnold last year, because what Clint Kubiak likes to do is if it is going to be that one read, he's going to get that one read on the move. He's going to make things easier for that quarterback. He's going to trim down the amount of reads the quarterback has to make, and he's going to get that quarterback in play action. And the Raiders are almost perfectly built for that, where it's like you have to respect the run with Ashton Jinty, and that top target is going to be Brock Bowers, who's going to be the biggest and potentially fastest pass catcher on the field at any given time. So we're saying, okay, this is actually a pretty good scenario for him to go into. I do get worried though, like, yeah, they added Tyler Linderbaum, if I'm not mistaken, right at center. The offensive line's a little bit better. It's still not a great offensive line. And that's where Fernando Mendoza struggles the most, is dealing with that pressure.
Yeah. And by the way, your analysis with, the structure and when structure breaks down, where does he go? What does he do? It sounds very Jared Goff-y. Is that the comp in the direction that you went with the comps for Mendoza?
That is the exact comp that I have.
I mean, that's always been the critique with Goff, right? Like in structure, he's phenomenal, but then whenever things break down, it gets a little bit iffier.
I mean, go back to that draft class when Jared Goff was the top pick, and we're like, he's not that great, but he's the best quarterback this year, and it's sort of the same vibes. Like the comps that I have are from low, medium to high. It's going to be Sam Bradford, Jared Goff, Matt Ryan. It's like accurate guys. Couldn't really extend the play or throw very well in the run, didn't have elite arm strength, very linear athletes that like need to stay within a certain lane. I don't know that the upside is there for Mendoza in fantasy. I know he had touchdowns this year, but like being able to scramble a little bit in college is very different from what he's going to have to do in the NFL. I think he's got that size that if they get into a goal line scenario and he runs a QB sneak, sure, absolutely. The struggle here is that like he just, especially you go back to the Miami game, he really struggled to throw off platform. And that's one of those things that I really like to grade is that like, and maybe this is me being a jaded Miami Dolphins fan, can a quarterback do this and keep all of their top traits they have, their accuracy or their arm strength or their poise, whatever it is, when things go bad? Because it's going to happen, especially for a rookie. We saw it with Cam Ward. It's probably going to happen for Mendoza with this Raiders offensive line. And when he went up against Miami and he had to get flushed out of the pocket, the arm strength was gone. The accuracy that's normally there was gone. And he kind of won on like just good old fashioned moxie. Like it was a fun game, but it was not a very good game from him. It's like, those are the things that are still going to worry me about Mendoza.
Is there rushing upside with him at all? Or is this like, cause like I also have seen the could he be Joe Burrow kind of idea out there, and Burrow at least has brought some of that mobility at times, or at least has that in his back pocket. Whereas, some of the other guys you mentioned like Matt Ryan or Jared Goff just have not done that. I know these are just comps. I'm not trying to say that it's just like a 1-to-1. They haven't brought that to the table. So, but do you envision at least a little bit more of that rushing production, which obviously would then be better from a fantasy perspective than some of those guys?
Yeah, I definitely think there can be a little bit more. I'm not going to say that he's a runner of any sort. I genuinely do not believe the Joe Burrow comps are fair.
Yeah.
We love to do this. Like when someone gets in the ethos of like, did you see how he finished the season though?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because he's one of 7 quarterbacks to win the Heisman and win the national championship. Naturally, it's going to happen. We're going to make those comps. But where Mendoza's probably going to get you some rushing upside is he loves to just step up into the pocket and take off up the middle.
Right.
And he'll add, 15, 20 yards a game, and that's going to give you something. It's not going to be a total statue, but I don't see that top 6 upside type of rusher that's there.
Yeah. Better in super flex, if you will, with a player like that. Ty Simpson seems to be the consensus QB2. Do you agree with that? Do you think his ceiling, is his ceiling higher than Mendoza's? Obviously, the big question mark is dude has not been playing very much and very long and doesn't have the experience side to things. But talk to some people. Dan Orlovsky, big proponent of Ty Simpson over Fernando Mendoza right now. Do you see him, though, as Simpson as the consensus QB2?
I do. I have not gone full Orlovsky yet. But
there's a yet.
Okay, I'm not going to. But I remember hearing about these quarterbacks and hearing there's a massive gap. And then I watched the film and I'm like, actually, y'all, there's not that big of a gap. And then I got told, watch the later games. He's much worse. And I'm like, oh yeah, he is much worse. What happened? What changed? And I start to look at it. It's these injuries. He piles up week 8, bulging disc in his back. Then he starts taking anti-inflammatories and loses 20 pounds from gastritis. Then week 13, elbow bursitis. Week 15, fractured rib. And that's the Indiana game where everyone always brings up Fernando Mendoza beat him head to head. And I'm like, guys, I'm a podcaster. If I had even one of these things, I'm probably calling out of this show today.
Right.
So I'm trying to add the context to that, but I do think there is a ceiling there for Ty Simpson that could be better because he does a lot of those things that NFL coaches want out of quarterbacks. He makes a lot of those second level throws, meaning it's not going to be near the line of scrimmage. He's able to make full reads across the field that we don't see Mendoza do often. And one of the bigger things for me is, he didn't get a lot. It was 15 starts. It wasn't a lot of starts, but it's at Alabama. It's going up against Alabama's defense every day in practice. And then he sets all of his own protections at the line of scrimmage too. So there are a lot of things that I think work well. He's probably one of the best throwers of the football on the run, which I think works in that McVay Shanahan type offense. The Rams and Cardinals become really good fits for him. So if those become one of the teams that draft him, I already don't think the gap is very big, but I think that gap sort of closes a little bit because what Simpson's going to need is a little bit of time to sit, maybe like a Drake May, where he sits for 7 or 8 weeks and just gets used to the speed of practice.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Lowe's knows Sundays are for football. So tackle your home improvement projects by Saturday and earn your Sunday with great deals on LG and Bosch appliances, select Bounty and Swiffer cleaning products, and more. Then once your to-do list is done, get ready to kick back, relax, and enjoy the game. Shop in-store or online now and earn your Sunday with help from Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Yeah, interesting. Next, there's sort of this big tier. You have 5 players kind of coming up next. NFL Mock Draft Database has Garrett Nussmeier next with 81st overall draft capital. You have him next as well, but obviously this is more tier-based for you. Talk to me about him. Talk to me about Nussmeier.
I got to be honest, he's kind of like the de facto QB3 at this point because he's got I'd say he's probably got the least amount of red flags out of everyone else, but that doesn't give me a lot of confidence about the player. He's a very accurate timing passer. I actually dropped him a little bit in the latest version of the guide that came out because I always like to go back and do a reevaluation of each position every time the guide re-releases. He just gets too frantic when the pressure gets there, and he becomes just this check down guy, or he just doesn't quite know what to do, and he'll take the sack. He's a lot like Mendoza, just smaller, slower. Same thing, predetermined reads, a lot of that stuff. But I think the NFL is going to like him because he got a lot of starts in the SEC. He's the son of a quarterback's coach and does all those things that people like. But I just think that for fantasy purposes, the upside's going to be limited. Like he's not a good runner. He's not always a good thrower on the run or off platform. Like I think some of these guys like Cole Payton or Cade Klubnik would have some more upside because of their rushing ability and their ability to extend plays. I found that the comp I have for him is Tua Tagovailoa. He's great on time. He's very accurate. But man, it's my friend Jagger May likes to say, he's an orchid quarterback. He's got to have a perfect situation to thrive and grow. And if it's not there, it's just going to die quick.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Cole Payton. He's kind of intriguing. Debro threw him out as sort of like his favorite sleeper type player, in this class. He kind of got the stamp of approval from you in the guide. I know that's more like value based and such. You're not saying that he's like the QB1 in the class, but he's coming from North Dakota State. He's more of a raw prospect, smaller school. I know that evaluating smaller school players at other positions is more difficult just because, you don't like, they should dominate. They should look good on film because they're playing against weaker competition. What did you see from him that made you at least excited about what we might be able to see from him in the NFL?
So I'll start with at least the quarterback stuff, the passing stuff, is that he's just really accurate and really poised sitting back there. And what I try to figure out is like, why is he so poised? Is he just naturally a gamer? Like, is he that dude? Or is it because he really has just the one and run mentality? I have my one read, and if it's not there, I can run. So I really don't have to worry about what's happening elsewhere. And that's sort of the thing that I want to look at here. And I don't know that he's going to become a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I don't know that a lot of these guys are, but there's sort of more the mentality of, if it's not going to be for a long time, let's at least have a good time. And he can be sort of a Justin Fields-esque quarterback that's going to give you that rushing upside. I get worried about all the things you mentioned. 1 year starter at an FCS level, RPO heavy offense, cut the field in half. Mechanics were super weird, but it looks like he's already improving that in his offseason workouts with his quarterback coach. There's potential. I'm hearing stuff online. Not that I'm hearing, I'm not like an insider, but like reading stuff online that he could go day 2 in round 2 or 3.
Yeah.
If he goes day 2 or in the same round as Nussmeier, I have every reason to put him ahead of Nussmeier as a better fantasy quarterback, because the draft capital is going to say that he's just as likely to get a shot to start a game. And he's got that rushing upside. He's got a strong arm. He's got the size. He's accurate, really accurate. It's just, can he make reads and do the things that an NFL quarterback needs to do?
What kind of high end comp do you have for Cole Payton?
It's kind of sexy, I'm not going to lie, but like I had to give a big range here. The high end comp was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, okay.
But then the low end comp goes all the way down to Tim Tebow.
Right.
So
right.
Like there's a wide range here for the guy where he could be really fun for a short period of time and he's like done with the league in 1 year.
Yeah.
Or it's a guy who develops, his accuracy continues to sort of blossom. He gets better at reading a field, and he gets put into a situation where a coach is going to bring him along slowly. And if someone spends day 2 capital, I feel like that is more likely to happen.
Yeah, I remember bringing him up whenever I talked to Debro, and then on that show, I mentioned that he was an interesting, later round dart in Superflex leagues based on like what Debro was saying, just because I think it was his bold prediction piece with that. And then I went to Keep Trade Cut to kind of see where he was being drafted, because someone had responded like comment wise and was like, oh, he's going to be a second rounder in Superflex. I mean, he's not even like listed in Superflex rookie rankings right now on Keep Trade Cut. Like he's not, like, you can get him and you're going to be able to get him more than likely, like in the latter parts, at least post round 2 in a Superflex league. And to me, that's the kind of player that you do want to throw darts at. Like I know it sounds crazy because we don't get very good hits from, day 2 and later quarterbacks, but you're not going to get great hits anyway from, especially in this class at running back and wide receiver and such, in round 3 and beyond. So you might as well just like throw that dart. It sounds like.
Yeah, man. I've got him in my rankings as an early round 3 pick.
Yeah.
And like comparison, like I'm highest in my consensus rankings compared to Fantasy Pros and Draft Sharks. Like they don't even have him as a top 48 pick. And right. I'm just like, when I get to the 3rd round, like what else am I taking a shot on? A wide receiver who might catch 2 or 3 passes a game, or the quarterback who could break fantasy football with 1,000 rushing yards. Like absolutely taking that shot.
Right. And you should have a decent idea of what you're going to do with him after year 1. You might just be burning that pick. That's fine. But you're going to be burning that pick with a lot of players.
Yeah. He's not a roster clogger at that point.
Yeah, exactly. You got 3 quarterbacks next in this grouping. Talk about them a little bit. Give me a big pro and con for Klubnik, you have Aller there, you have Carson Beck. Talk about those three and where sort of the good and the bad come with them.
Yeah, I'll talk about the guy I'm most excited about from this group, and it's Cade Klubnik. He just had this massive 2024 season, 36 touchdowns, almost 600 rushing yards. What I love is that he has this athletic ability that extends plays. And I put a lot of value on that when I'm scouting quarterbacks. Can they extend plays when things go wrong? And he had the second best pressure to sack ratio. He's a guy that had really impressive athletic ability on the field. He's able to run and beat a lot of defenders to the edge to go and pick up yardage. The problem is that when he does extend the plays, it's not always a positive thing. Like, I just don't think he quite has a plan yet when he's doing that. He's not extending the play to make a good throw. He's extending the play to just not die from whoever's running in after him.
Yeah,
and
he's doing what we do in backyard football. Right?
Exactly.
Trying to escape the big fast guy that's coming at you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like with that, what happens is that when he does need to extend the play and take more time, the throws that he's doing downfield just aren't typically very successful. And so anything beyond 15 yards becomes a little bit of a problem. And I know that sounds crazy in a vacuum like that, but you're going to see that with a lot of quarterbacks now because of the way college systems are. Like, they're not asking quarterbacks to throw deep that often unless a guy just happens to be wide open. So a lot of these throws are shorter. So most of his career interceptions came when he tried to throw downfield, and we saw that last season as well. I comped him to Bo Nix, who there's like some rushing upside. That's the high end comp. Is like there's some rushing upside, but also a guy who just threw a lot near the line of scrimmage. And if he ends up in that sort of Sean Payton-esque offense where it can work, then it works. But if not, well, we're just looking at another guy that's sitting on a bench somewhere.
Yeah. What about the other two guys?
So with Drew Aller, he's got this rocket launcher of an arm. I think like if you were looking at him, he is the Varsity Blues, like varsity quarterback that you're just like, man, that guy 6'5", like 230 pounds, big arm, he just looks like a quarterback. But I'm gonna be honest, man, like he just almost never makes the right decision. Like I never see him successfully read an NFL defense. I never see him successfully escape pressure. One of my comps in here was Will Levis because it's just a lot of the same things. Big
physical
arm
traits,
physical traits, but then like the football IQ stuff just doesn't seem to overlap very well. And then Carson Beck is sort of the good at everything, but like not great at anything. He has a lot of starts in college. We got to see him take Miami to the championship. A lot of that wasn't on him. It was guys like Malachi Toney and the defense and everything there.
Right.
So he's got the experience. And I think he can be a good backup and a good spot starter. The problem is he's got like no rushing upside. It's not really a big arm. Like one of my comps from him was like high end Matt Schaub. And it's just like, you were never excited to draft Matt Schaub, but if you had to start him, maybe in a super flex, you're like, okay, cool. But like, there's Josh Rosen in his profile as well. Like there's a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, 6 years, right? In college. Isn't that, I mean, he's an older dude, he's been around.
What was the thing that's like his wide receiver this year, Malachi Toney, the freshman was like 11 when Carson Beck started college? Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. All right, we talked about a lot of quarterbacks. Of the guys that we haven't talked about, who do you think could be a surprise quarterback from this class?
I think it would have to be the next guy in my rankings then, and it's Taylon Green, who like I don't think he's this phenomenal quarterback, but I mean, dude, if we're gonna look at upside, I think he's got as much upside as anyone, a near perfect relative athletics score. He's 6'6", 227 pounds, runs a 4.3 and has these incredible vertical and broad jumps. My comps, it's not going to sound pretty to people, but it's fun. It's Taysom Hill, Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson. And that's kind of where we're at. The problem is like the guys like Trey Lance and Anthony Richardson, they didn't have a lot of starts in college, and coaches convinced themselves they do like what guys do. Like I can fix her. Like they say, I can fix these quarterbacks. Yeah. Right. And it didn't work out, but they were first round picks. Taylon Green's not going to be a first round pick. And a lot of that is because we saw him be a starter for 4 years. We kind of know who he is, but he is one of those guys that if he gets the opportunity to start somewhere, I can totally see him do a 7 completions on 18 attempts and ran for 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And you were so happy you started him in fantasy and do like sort of a Malik Willis in Green Bay type thing. Like it could absolutely happen, but there's going to be a lot of things that need to go right to make that happen.
Alfredo, man, this was great. I appreciate you hopping on. Let everyone know where they can find you, where they can find that guide of yours, and what you're up to.
Yeah, you can always find me on any social media platform at Alfredo A. Brown. And the guide is going to be over at pretendgm.com/guide. You can also find the Pretend GM Fantasy Football Show wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. It's a brand new feed, brand new show. You can easily binge, the like 8 or 9 episodes that are there. You can enjoy them. Some of them are pretty quick like yours. Then I'll do interviews like this as well. The version 3.0 of the guide is going to be coming out with the wide receivers on Monday. And then I'll have version 4.0 with tight ends, the injury reports, all that stuff. And then the 5th update will be after the NFL draft. So you can always keep an eye out for that.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. As always, guys, check out lateround.com. Check out the late round prospect guide, which honestly, both of our guides combined gives you 2 very, very different perspectives on this stuff. So I think they complement each other very, very well. So check it out, lateround.com. We'll be back in your ears Wednesday with the Late Round Show. And then we have a mailbag episode later in the week. As always, everyone, thanks for tuning in.
March is here and Uber Eats is delivering deals all month long. Score big savings on all the delicious food you need to fuel your sports fandom. Whether you're ordering in or hosting the whole crew, Uber Eats is serving up deals on wings, burgers, pizza, all from your favorite restaurants, plus snacks from top stores. Perennial powerhouse, underdog, however the madness unfolds, these deals keep it going all month long. Visit the Uber Eats app for all the latest deals and start saving today.
I'm Daniel Jeremiah.
And I am Greg Rosenthal.
I know that, Greg. We're teaming up on 40s and Free Agents, the podcast that owns the NFL offseason.
This is where teams are built. Free agency, the combine, pro days, trades. Every move matters.
From my draft boards and mock drafts
to my vaunted top 101 free agents and how rosters come together.
Quarterback movement,
surprise signings.
We'll tell you what it means and who really wins. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search 40s and Free Agents, and listen now.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.